In a previous video, I talked about two behaviors that show up over and over again in high-performing teams. The first was the ability to accept feedback, and the other one was to disagree appropriately. And the question that I got the most afterward was, Jennifer, that's great, but then how do you actually teach this? And when do I even have time to teach this? And is this part of my job? So let's be honest. Yes, most organizations don't have a how not to get defensive course. And they definitely don't have of how to disagree without creating drama class. But the best leaders teach these skills every day. They don't realize they're doing it, but they model it. Or sometimes they don't realize they're teaching the exact opposite. And today, I want to show you exactly what I mean. Over the last few years, I've worked with schools, businesses, and organizations that all faced a similar challenge. People knew how to do the work, they just didn't always know how to work with each other. And the organizations that solved that problem didn't do it with another initiative or another program. They did it intentionally by shaping behavior. So I want to start with a hard truth that most leaders think they know exactly how to give feedback and how to have a healthy disagreement. But many of them are actually doing the opposite. And let me give you some examples. When a leader asks for feedback and someone on the team shares a concern, the leader sometimes immediately jumps and explains why they're wrong. And what did everyone in that room just learn? They learned that they actually really can't give feedback. Or maybe someone disagrees in a meeting and the conversation gets a bit uncomfortable. The leader quickly shuts it down because they feel uncomfortable. And again, what did the team just learn? They learned that disagreeing isn't safe. And the reality is that we all know employees watch leadership and their behavior to determine what's acceptable, what's rewarded, and what's safe in an organization. So think about just something really simple. If a manager starts rolling in at 9:30 every morning, even though the expectation is at 8 o'clock, what happens? Pretty soon employees start thinking, well, I can roll in right at 9:15 because he's not going to get here till 9:30. Nobody had to announce a policy change. Nobody had to send an email. The behavior of the manager became the message. And unfortunately, that's culture. People learn what matters most by watching what the leaders do, not what the leaders say. Now let's talk about how we're going to teach that feedback. If you want people to receive feedback well, you have to start changing how the feedback is delivered. So most feedback conversations feel like a verdict. People feel judged, and when people feel judged, they get super defensive. So one of the simple changes that a leader can make is just replacing their language. Something as simple as, can I give you some feedback? You can change it with, can I share something I noticed? Think about how different those two feel. One sounds like you're in trouble. The other one sounds like, hey, I'm curious. I noticed this. And the curiosity really lowers that defense. But here's the biggest piece. Leaders have to also model how to receive feedback themselves. And one of the most powerful things a leader can say is, you know what? I hadn't thought about it that way. Or another example would be, that's fair. Or, you're right, I do need to work on that. When leaders do that publicly, they normalize growth. They show people that feedback isn't dangerous. It's part of getting better. And that's powerful. A few years ago, I worked with a marketing firm that had incredibly talented people. They had some amazing designers, some really tough account managers, great ideas, but they had one really big problem. No one wanted to critique each other's work. And so every review sounded, oh yeah, that looks really good, or I love it, or yeah, nice job. I can tell you put some effort into that, which sounds really supportive until the clients started catching mistakes. Had to implement something, right? So we implemented something super easy. 3 questions. What's working, what's missing, and what is one thing we would improve or could improve. And that's it. No blame, no personal attacks, no defending, just observations. And within a few months, the quality of work improved dramatically. But more importantly, people stopped taking feedback personally because the feedback became part of the process instead of the judgment of the person. Now let's shift and talk about disagreement, because most organizations say they want innovation, but really what they want is agreement and compliance. And those are not the same things. The challenge is that today's workplaces are made up of people with different backgrounds. They come from different generations. They come from different cultures. They speak different language and communication styles. And what feels respectful to one person might feel rude to another. What feels like a direct tone to one person might feel confrontational to the other. So I've sat in meetings when one person thought that the conversation was super productive and honest, and a lot of the other people left feeling attacked. Same meeting, very different interpretation. So that's why leaders have to teach people how to separate intention from communication style. And if you've ever checked out Google's Project Aristotle, they found that psychological safety was the #1 predictor of high-performing teams. So people need to feel safe enough to ask questions, enough to challenge ideas, enough to be able to disagree, appropriately, of course. And one of the easiest ways to create that is to create an environment that stops and asks who disagrees. We don't do that. We start asking, what might be missing? Instead of, who disagrees? And everybody, is that okay? What other perspective should we consider? Those 2 questions invite thinking instead of conflict. They make disagreement feel collaborative instead of confrontational. And that's exactly what great teams do. Here's the secret that most leaders miss. You don't teach these behaviors during an annual training. You teach them in everyday moments. You teach them in the hallway. You teach them in meetings, in project reviews, one-on-one conversations, and how you respond to when someone makes a mistake, and how you react when someone challenges your idea. That's where culture really gets built. One interaction at a time, one conversation at a time, one behavior at a time. And here's something else. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to catch yourself doing it, right? I catch myself, I pause, okay? And you tend to start explaining instead of listening. You get defensive. You shut down an idea too quickly, and that's okay. The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to be aware. And sometimes the most powerful thing a leader can do is to stop and say, let me try that again. Or, you know what? I think I got a little defensive there. I'm not sure why. Or, you know what? I don't think I listened as well as I should have. Can we try that again? Because when leaders model self-correction, they teach everyone else the growth is normal. And that's exactly the culture you're trying to build. If you remember nothing else from this video, remember that people don't learn feedback by hearing a presentation about feedback. They learn it by experiencing it. People don't learn healthy disagreement from a handbook. They learn it by practicing it. And leaders set the conditions for both. If you think this video was helpful, make sure you hit subscribe and share with a leader who wants to build a strong team.